Of the 53 men throughout history that have officially won the WWE Championship, only 30 of them have managed to win it more than once. Those 23 one-timers include some of the all-time greats. Pedro Morales, Superstar Billy Graham, Diesel, The Ultimate Warrior, Eddie Guerrero, all of these names only had one reign with the gold, and crucially, they made it count. Not these 10 though, not these 10 at all. Even if some of them really did deserve better from their time with the title. I'm Adam Pachisi from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are the 10 worst one-time WWE champions in history. Join us. Number 10, Big E. Well, this feels terrible. At the time of recording this video, beloved New Day member and owner of the sexiest thighs in all of wrestling, Big E, has still not returned to the ring after suffering a broken neck in March 2022. This fateful accident came just a couple of months after another travesty, his first and so far only run as WWE champ. Big E won the title from Bobby Lashley on an episode of Raw, cashing in his Money in the Bank contract to a huge ovation. He beat Lashley in a steel cage rematch and then successfully retained over Drew McIntyre at Crown Jewel. But wait, what's that Roman Reigns-shaped outline in the distance? As everyone does, E came up short against the Tribal Chief at Survivor Series, losing clean as a whistle in a champion versus champion encounter. He then had a few more matches as champ before dropping the belt to Brock Lesnar at Day 1. Big E's time with the gold started off so promisingly, but quickly went downhill. Basically, he always felt like he was playing second fiddle, eventually losing the championship as part of WWE's grander plan. Here's hoping he gets another run with the gold one day. We love you, E. Number 9, Sergeant Slaughter. Before it was revealed that most of what he told people about his military career was a barefaced lie, Sergeant Slaughter was a respected legend amongst the wrestling community. In his heyday, he was a huge star in the AWA, NWA, and WWE, winning over fans with his all-American persona and tendency to call people maggots. His one and only title reign for Vince McMahon happened thanks to one man, and his name was Saddam Hussein. Slaughter switched allegiances from the US to Iraq as the very real Gulf War raged on. WWE capitalized on the molten heat this angle was generating by having Sarge beat WWE champion The Ultimate Warrior at the 91 Royal Rumble. This was done with the sole intention of giving Hulk Hogan a feel-good victory at WrestleMania 7, which is exactly what happened. In total, Slaughter held the title for just 64 days and wrestled on TV just 4 times while champion. The short length of his reign, combined with his position as an obvious transitional champion, means that Slaughter's credentials as WWE's top star are about as strong as his ones as a Marine. Number 8, Dean Ambrose. Before he was shedding blood and not being blown up in AEW, Jon Moxley was the lunatic fringe Dean Ambrose. Debuting alongside Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins as The Shield, Ambrose became a firm favourite who fans were desperate to see achieve similar success as his fellow Hounds of Justice. At Money in the Bank 2016, they finally got their wish as Ambrose cashed in his newly won briefcase to take down Rollins and become WWE champion. And then, bleh. After an underwhelming Shield triple threat at Battleground, Ambrose would carry the title over to SmackDown during the second brand split. Who was his first opponent on the blue brand? It was Dolph Ziggler. Nothing against Dolph, but they had a pretty disappointing encounter at SummerSlam, and then Ambrose finally dropped the belt to AJ Styles after the phenomenal one hit him right in the chutneys. Across 84 days as champion, Ambrose brought very little to the party. His matches were lackluster, his feuds even more so, and he was always much better positioned as a chaser rather than a holder. Safe to say, his time under Tony Khan has been much more fruitful. Number 7, Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt became the first member of his historic wrestling lineage to win the big one when he captured the WWE title at Elimination Chamber 2017. This was off the back of his incredibly hot storyline with Randy Orton, which saw the Viper join up with Bray and Luke Harper as part of the Wyatt family. All of this would set the stage for the Eater of Worlds to battle his former follower at WrestleMania 33. Wait, I know this match. It's the Insects match. In a now infamous face-off, Bray thought the best way to get one over on Randy would be to project images of creepy crawlies onto the ring canvas using all the PowerPoint skills 2 hours on the internet could grant him. He thought wrong, as Orton handily beat Wyatt and took the title off him. The cult leader managed just one successful defense of the belt in a reign that lasted a measly 49 days. Most of his time as champion was spent crying because Randy burnt down his shed, which says it all, really. Ah well, at least his 2 Universal Championship reigns were much better. Oh. Number 6, Kane. Both of Big Glenn's World Championship runs in WWE were pretty poor, but for entirely opposite reasons. His time with the World Heavyweight title in 2010 was arguably too long, running out of steam long before it actually ended. As for his sole WWE Championship reign in 1998, that was over far too quickly. The Big Red Machine won the title in very impressive fashion, ending the first reign of a certain Stone Cold Steve Austin at King of the Ring. Granted, this was in a first blood match with interference from everyone and their mums, but this was the Attitude Era. It was the style at the time. Feeling hard done by, Austin invoked his rematch clause the very next night on Raw. This turned out to be a very smart move, as the Texas Rattlesnake unseated the Big Red Machine to become a 2-time champ. Despite being in the company for yonks after this, Kane never got another chance to hold the main title. This means he will forever be known as the 24-hour stopgap in Steve Austin's first 2 reigns, which is a damn shame for such an excellent performer. Number 5, Stan Stasiak. Stan the Man Stasiak is best known for 2 things in wrestling. Firstly, he sired meat, and secondly, he was the man who Bruno Sammartino beat to become WWE Champion for the 2nd time. After making his debut in 1958, Stasiak toured various promotions across his native Canada and then the United States. He had 3 stints in the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, as it was known at the time, the second of which resulted in him becoming champion. He beat Pedro Morales in Philadelphia to end the Puerto Ricans' 1,027 days with the gold. Then, 9 days later, he faced Sammartino in Madison Square Garden and did the job for the living legend. Of all the short-lived champions of the pre-Hulk Hogan era, Stasiak is the least remarkable. Buddy Rogers was the first, Ivan Koloff got to end the longest reign in the title's history, and the Iron Sheik, well, there's no way he was ending up on here. I value my back too much. Unfortunately for Stan the Man, this was as good as it got. He knew it too, once describing his title reign as the happiest 9 days of his life. Little Sean probably felt pretty disappointed with that statement, to be honest. Number 4, Jinder Mahal. You knew he was going to be on here somewhere, you just didn't know where. On some level, you have to feel sorry for Jinder. He was thrust into a title reign for the sole cynical reason of exploiting his Indian heritage. He was given no extra training, his feuds were god-awful, and everybody hated him, and none of that was particularly his fault. On the other hand, we all had to sit through the 5.5 months of Jinder Mahal as WWE Champion. Yes, it was funny at first, but the joke did soon get old. Mahal was frankly incapable of performing at the level he was pushed at, his moveset not good enough, his character not strong enough, his booking definitely wasn't great either. The fact that WWE thought bringing back the Punjabi prison would be a way to get Jinder over shows just how ill thought out this whole project was. There is no way he should have main evented so many pay-per-views. There is no way he should have stood toe-to-toe with so many great wrestlers. There is no way he should have handed Shinsuke Nakamura his first main roster loss. Jinder, I love you, seriously, but this was a bad time. Number 3, Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon Sr. famously warned his son against getting involved in the actual performance element of wrestling. Naturally, Vince Jr. booked himself to win his own world title at the grand age of 54. Take that, Pops. After returning to TV as a babyface to stand up against the evil Triple H, Vince McMahon found himself in a match with the Game for the top prize on a September 99 episode of SmackDown. After a buttload of help from his old foe Stone Cold, Vince's lifeless body was dragged on top of his future son-in-law whilst his actual son made the 3 count. Nepotism, the strongest finishing move there is. If this wasn't bad enough, Vince relinquished the belt just 6 days later. So not only did he win the championship, but he was never actually pinned for it. That puts McMahon alongside the elite few to have never been beaten while reigning as WWE champion. All of this is, of course, objectively hilarious, but it also massively devalues the so-called greatest prize in wrestling. Luckily, WWE and Vince were Teflon at the time. Number 2, Andre the Giant. In terms of wrestling as a spectacle, there were few greater and more important than Andrei Roussimoff. Billed as anywhere between 6'11" and 7'4", Andre the Giant was the attraction to end all attractions. His phenomenal size and power was simply awe-inspiring during the 70s and 80s, as his unique traits made him a cross-cultural megastar. The star of The Princess Bride famously turned heel on Hulk Hogan to set up their WrestleMania 3 main event match, the contest many attribute to the long-term success of WWE. Almost a year later, Hogan and Andre faced each other once again on the main event. In the most viewed American professional wrestling match ever, Andre shockingly beat the Hulkster after some industrial-scale shenanigans to end his 3+ years as champ. And then, he went and sold the belt to Ted DiBiase about 30 seconds later. Were it not for this wrinkle, Andre might not have been on this list at all. What he did and how he did it were historic, but as a champion, he was rubbish, holding the title for less than a minute. Number 1, Rey Mysterio. The other man to hold the WWE title for less than 1 day in total is the polar opposite of Andre in many ways. The diminutive Rey Mysterio overcame his significant size disadvantage to win 2 World Heavyweight Championships in WWE. He also won the WWE title, but that is something he's less keen to discuss. In the wake of Money in the Bank 2011, the company needed a new top champion. Mysterio and The Miz were the participants in a tournament final for a new version of the belt, which Rey won to secure the grand prize for the very first time. But soft, what light through yonder Cena breaks? Big Match John took a big old dump on Ray, immediately challenging the luchador for the title. Later that night, Cena beat an already knackered Mysterio to win his 9th WWE Championship and shatter Ray's dreams into tiny little pieces. I mean, at least Andre had the honor of ending Hogan's mammoth reign and setting up the entirety of WrestleMania 4. All Mysterio did was prove how much of a sucker he is and, on one level, how much of a dick John Cena was.